find it in a minute, but I'm so happy to be back here with you and reading part 2 of The Fisherman and His Soul by Oscar Wilde. And yeah, it's been a while since we read through this, and I thought it was about time that we picked up where we left off. So I'm gonna recap just where we were, from where we were in a minute. But first, I'm going to tuck you in, get you nice and ready for bed. I've got the fire going, and I'm gonna get you cozy. So I've got this incredibly soft blanket here, and it'll keep you nice and warm, and the feel of the texture is just amazing. It's just so soft. So I'll put this around you. Oops. Okay, and I also brought you this eye mask because the sun comes through here very bright in the morning, and I'll just leave that up here for when you want to put that on. Okay. Okay, so The Fisherman and His Soul, I'm just going to quickly recap where we got up to since it's been a while. But pretty much the fisherman has, he's been out on the sea, and he encounters this mermaid, and he starts to see her every day, and she sings to him, and he ends up falling in love with her. But she said the only way that they can be together is if he doesn't have a soul, because all the sea folk don't have souls. So she needs him to get rid of his soul somehow for them to be together. So that's where we're up to. She's just said to him that, I'm sorry, I can't be with you. You've got a soul. And she sank down deep into the ocean. So I'm going to continue from that point. Okay. Now, early on the next morning, before the sun was the span of a man's hand above the hill, the young fisherman went to the house of the priest and knocked 3 times at the door. The novice looked out through the wicket, and when he saw who it was, he drew back the latch and said to him, "Enter." And the young fisherman passed in and knelt down on the sweet-smelling rushes on the floor, and cried to the priest who was reading out of the holy book, and said to him, "Father, I am in love with one of the sea folk, and my soul hindereth me from having my desire. Tell me how I can send my soul from me, for in truth I have no need of it. Of what value is my soul to me? I cannot see it. I may not touch it. I do not know it." And the priest bit his breast, and answered, Alack, alack, thou art mad, or hast eaten of some poisonous herb, for the soul is the noblest part of man, and was given to us by God, that we should nobly use it. There is nothing more precious than a human soul, nor any earthly thing that can be weighed with it. It is worth all the gold that is in the world, and is more precious than the rubies of kings. Therefore, my son, think not any more of this matter, for it is a sin that may not be forgiven. And as for the sea folk, they are lost, and they who would traffic with them are lost also. They are the beasts of the field that know not good from evil, and for them the Lord has not died. The young fisherman's eyes filled with tears when he heard the bitter words of the priest, and he rose up from his knees and said to him, Father, the fawns live in the forest, and are clad, and on the rocks sit the mermen with their harps of red gold. Let me be as they are, I beseech thee, for their days are as the days of flowers. And as for my soul, what doth my soul profit me, if it stand between me and the thing I love? The love of the body is vile, cried the priest, knitting his brows, and vile and evil are the pagan things God suffers to wander through his world. Accursed be the fawns of the woodland, and accursed be the singers of the sea. I have heard them at night time, and they have sought to lure me from my beads. They tap at the window and laugh. They whisper into my ears the tale of their perilous joys. They tempt me with temptations, and when I would pray, they make mouths at me. They are lost, I tell thee. They are lost. For them there is no heaven nor hell, and in neither shall they praise God's name. Father, cried the fisherman, thou knowest not what thou sayest. Once in my net I snared the daughter of a king. She is fairer than the morning star, and whiter than the moon. For her body I would give my soul, and for her love I would surrender heaven. Tell me what I ask of thee, and let me go in peace. Away, away, cried the priest. Thy lemon is lost, and thou shalt be lost with her. And he gave him no blessing, but drove him from his door. And the young fisherman went down into the marketplace, and he walked slowly with bowed head, as one who is in sorrow. And then when the merchants saw him coming, they began to whisper to each other. And one of them came forth to meet him, and called him by his name, and said to him, What hast thou to sell? I will sell thee my soul, he answered. I pray thee buy it of me, for I am weary of it. Of what use is my soul to me? I cannot see it, I may not touch it, I do not know it. But the merchants mocked at him and said, Of what use is a man's soul to us? It is not worth a clipped piece of silver. Sell us thy body for a slave, and we will clothe thee in sea purple, and put a ring upon thy finger, and make thee the minion of the great queen. talk not of the soul, for to us it is naught, nor has it any value for our service." And the young fisherman said to himself, "How strange a thing this is! The priest telleth me that the soul is worth all the gold in the world, and the merchants say that it is not worth a clipped piece of silver." And he passed out of the marketplace and went down to the shore of the sea and began to ponder on what he should do. And at noon he remembered how one of his companions, who was a gatherer of samphire, had told him of a certain young witch who dwelt in a cave at the head of the bay and was very cunning in her witcheries. And he set to and ran, so eager he was to get rid of his soul. And a cloud of dust followed him as he sped round the sand of the shore. By the itching of her palm, the young witch knew his coming, and she laughed and let down her red hair. With her red hair falling around her, she stood at the opening of the cave, and in her hand she had a spray of wild hemlock that was blossoming. "What do ye lack? What do ye lack?" she cried, as he came panting up the steep and bent down before her. "Fish for thy net when the wind is foul. I have a little reed pipe, and when I blow on it, the mullet comes sailing into the bay. But it has a price, pretty boy, it has a price. What do ye lack? What do ye lack? A storm to wreck the ships and wash the chests of rich treasure ashore? I have more storms than the wind has, for I serve one who is stronger than the wind, and with a sieve and a pail of water I can send the great galleys to the bottom of the sea. But I have a price, pretty boy, I have a price. What do ye lack? What do ye lack? I know a flower that grows in the valley, none knows it but I. It has purple leaves and a star in its heart, and its juice is as white as milk. Shouldst thou touch with this flower the hard lips of the queen, she would follow thee all over the world. Out of the bed of the king she would rise, and over the whole world she would follow thee. And it has a price, pretty boy, it has a price. What do ye lack? What do ye lack? I can pound a toad in a mortar and make broth of it, and stir the broth with a dead man's hand. Sprinkle it on thine enemy while he sleeps, and he will turn it into a black viper, and his mother will slay him. With a wheel I can draw the moon from heaven, and in a crystal I can show thee death. What do ye lack? What do ye lack? Tell me thy desire, and I will give it thee, and thou shalt pay me a price, pretty boy, thou shalt pay me a price. My desire is but for a little thing, said the young fisherman. Yet had the priest been wroth with me and driven me forth, it is but for a little thing, and the merchants have mocked at me and denied me. Therefore I come to thee, and thou men call thee evil, and thou men call me evil. And whatever be thy price, I shall pay it. What wouldst thou? Asked the witch, nearing to him. I would send my soul away from me, answered the young fisherman. The witch grew pale and shuddered, and hid her face in a blue mantle. pretty boy, she muttered. That is a terrible thing to do. He tossed his brown curls and laughed. My soul is naught to me, he answered. I cannot see it. I may not touch it. I do not know it. What wilt thou give me if I tell thee? Asked the witch, looking down at him with her beautiful eyes. 5 pieces of gold, he said, and my nets, and the wattled house where I live, and the painted boat in which I sail. Only tell me how to get rid of my soul, and I will give all these that I possess. She laughed mockingly at him, and struck him with the spray of hemstock. I can turn the autumn leaves into gold, she answered, and I can weave the pale moonbeams into silver if I will it. He who I serve is richer than all the kings of this world, and has their dominions. What then shall I give thee, he cried, if thy price be neither gold or silver? The witch stroked his hair, and with her thin white hand said, Thou must dance with me, pretty boy. She murmured that, and she smiled at him as she spoke. Now but that, cried the young fisherman in wonder, and he rose to his feet. Naught but that? Oh, naught but that, she answered, and she smiled at him again. Then at sunset, in some secret place, we shall dance together, he said, and after that we have danced, thou shalt tell me the thing which I desire to know. She shook her head. When the moon is full, when the moon is full, she muttered. Then she peered all around and listened. A bluebird rose screaming from its nest and circled over the dunes, and 3 spotted birds rustled through the coarse grey grass and whistled to each other. There was no other sound save the sound of a wave fretting the smooth pebbles below. So she reached out her hand and drew him near to her and put her dry lips close to his ear. Tonight thou must come to the top of the mountain, she whispered. It's a Sabbath, and he will be there. The young fisherman started and looked at her, and she showed her white teeth and laughed. Who is he of whom thou speakest? He asked. It matters not, she answered. Go thou tonight, and stand under the branches of the hornbeam, and wait for my coming. If a black dog run towards thee, strike it with a rod of willow, and it will go away. If an owl speaks to thee, make no answer. When the moon is full, I shall be with thee, and we will dance together on the grass. But wilt thou swear to me to tell me how I may send my soul from me? He made question. She moved out into the sunlight, and through her red hair rippled the wind. By the hoofs of the goat I swear it, she made answer. Thou art the best of witches, cried the young fisherman, and I will surely dance with thee tonight on the top of the mountain. I would indeed that thou hast asked of me either gold or silver, but such as thy price is thou shalt have it, for it is but a little thing. And he doffed his cap to her, and bent his head low, and ran back to the town, filled with great joy. And I think I will leave it there for tonight. And maybe we can where we left off again some other time. But I thought I'd also bring up my ukulele tonight. And I have a little song that is quite appropriate for this story. It's not one of my songs, but it is one of my favorite songs. Come with me, my love, to the sea of love. I wanna tell you how much I love you. Ooh, ooh. Do you remember when we met? It was the day I knew you were my bed. I wanna tell you how much I love you. Ooh. Come with me, my love, to the sea of love. I wanna tell you how much I love you. Ooh, ooh. Come with me, my love, to the sea of love. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story, this continuation of that story and the song. And I know that you are just gonna have a nice, deep, restful sleep now. And I will see